eModels.co.uk. Make something awesome.
Shut up and sit down.
Hello gang, Colin here, Festa 67's workshop, and welcome to part 5 of the build-up of the Suzuki GSX-RR MotoGP bike. And what are we going to be doing today? Well, I think we'll get the final parts of the build-up done, and with a bit of luck, we'll be able to do the reveal as well. So we'll just get that off of the paddock stand there and move that out of the way. And we'll start bringing in some odds and bods and things like that, folks. Don't forget, if you'd like to build this bike along with me, head over to eModels.co.uk, grab it from the store, the link is in the description below, and slap it in your basket, folks. And you too could have one of these rather splendid bikes on your shelf, folks. So we'll just put the front mudguard on like so. That's glued in place, and as you can see, them tyre decals really did settle down well. So folks, so watch the last episode and you'll see how I did them. So we'll just dab a little bit of the old extra thin on the sides here on the brake caliper covers, and then we'll whop them into place as well. And this is just the little fiddly bits and pieces now stage of the build. And you just slide that over the front of the caliper like so, and then use your thumbs just to slide it roughly into place, and then just turn it on the brake disc, and it will locate in a couple of little cutouts on the forks there, folks. And once it's in, it's in. You don't need to slaver the extra thin on, and it just rests in place like so, and then let your glue dry. The wheel still turns, but I shall tighten these wheels up anyway because it's going under the counter at Stoke, so it's going to be in a safe place, so I can tighten the wheels up and it stops it sliding around on their shelf up there, folks. But the more I look at the bike, the more I'm happy with the subtleties of some of the exhaust weathering and things like that. It's not too much, less is more sometimes, and pleasantly pleased with how they've come out. And that's the whole idea of this build, is just using stuff that we'll all have on the bench. All of the things I've used on this kit you can get at eModels, folks, so you can have a little looky-loo and treat yourselves. Right, let's just move that there and put the lid back on just in case, because we're at the moving the body panel stage. So the fuel cell goes in underneath like so, and this is what throws a lot of people with these MotoGP bikes, is the fact that the riders sitting astride the fuel tank, and I go, oh really? But yeah, because the main fuel, what would be the fuel tank on a road bike, actually has all the electronics and the airbox in it on the racing bikes, so the fuel tank sits underneath there. And it is quite a resistant press fit, but it will go in, folks. It's just a matter of getting it located. And there's a lug that sits on just underneath there. And just press that into place, and it will go. And just desperately try not to scratch any of the decals. But yeah, look at that. And then you've got the cover underneath there, so we've got some decals to put on that in a bit. I want to brush paint the camera. This sits just behind the rider's backside on the just behind the seat pan, so I'll give that a little brush, and then we can decal underneath the rear end of the bike with the sponsor decal under there. So it's had a satin black coat on there, so we can just whop the decal on there. Then there's enough gloss on it for the decal to bite, and then I shall, once the decal's dried, just go over and reapply a satin varnish under there just to protect the decal. So we'll let the solution go off. And the solutions I've been asked about that I use are the UMP Ultimate Decal solutions, the normal, strong and extra strong, folks. A few people have been in touch and asked me about the set of 3 that are just behind the rear wheel of the bike there, just off camera. And it is the Ultimate Decal solutions. So hopefully that'll help you folks out, because they really do conform the decals beautifully. So worth grabbing yourself a set. So we'll just move this decal into place. This is where a lot of folks cringe when I use me knife to move me decals, but for me it works. But yeah, but on this particular one, it seems not to need too much movement. So we'll let that go off. And then we've got this little bit to go on, just underneath there, like so. So I'll rest that in with me finger, and I'll just give that a little dab. The magical mystery glue bottle works its way round my bench. It does quite a few laps, does more laps than this bike. I'll just secure the lid just in case. And then we can bring the bike down and lay it down. I've put the blue cloth down just to protect the bike and the decals and the finish, where I'm going to be laying it down and moving it around as the panels go on. So I could do it on the jig, but yeah, because I've got screws and that to put in, sometimes I just prefer to rest the bike down on its side. But have a nice soft cloth that you can rest it on, and it should protect all your delicate surfaces, peeps. But at that angle, I must admit, that's really does look quite sexy. So I'm pleasantly patting myself on the back for this one, because I've had quite a lot of feedback on this, and people have got in touch, and I've enjoyed the series and liked the subtleties of the exhaust, and have, you know, really sort of picked up on it, and are going to have a go at doing their own. So I'm really chuffed. I'm really pleased that you all have found this a nice, interesting build. I mean, I predominantly do bikes anyway, so I am gearing the eModels content mainly to bikes from my side, but I shall be doing some shiny cars for them as well. So keep an eye out, folks, for the future videos. I want to get quite a few builds done for them, and have them a quick success. I'd like to do one a month, but at the moment, where real life is getting in the way, I'll probably do one every couple of months. So I shall get a couple of selections from them and have a looky-loo. If you'd like to see me do a particular car or a particular bike, leave a comment in the comment section underneath this video, because I read all the comments. And if you have seen a particular bike or car on their store that you think, yeah, I'd like Festa to have a go at building that, then let me know. Leave a comment and I will add it to my build list, folks. I'll also give you a mention. This build was requested by blah blah blah. Yeah, there you go. Right, time to put some hoses together. Now this is a fiddly thing, so some of these I'll do on camera and the rest I shall do off. But you're just basically pulling the cables that you've done earlier out and then clipping them to the appropriate pins on the handlebars, and all the pin numbers and letters are all on the instructions, folks. So trace your hoses back to where they start and then you'll see where they all need to go. And normally the one that comes up underneath the frame there, I just give it a little tiny dab of glue so that it stays in place, because the petrol tank can hold it down, but sometimes the petrol tanks can clip off and you'll have a stray cable. So I tend to, where it goes under the frame underneath the ECU and the airbox, I tend to just drop that pipe with a dab of glue. Right, let's have a look to see how the tank dry fits, which it seems to dry fit rather splendidly. And there'll be a single screw that goes in each side of that tank. So we'll grab them and pop them in. So let's get me magnetic tin of screws of goodness, and I keep a few of these in the man cave, these little parts tins. Back from my days as a mechanic, you used to magnetise one of these under the sump of a car, and you'd be taking all the bolts out, flick all the bolts in there, and then you wouldn't lose any, see. And since I stopped using the workshop, I use them now for the man cave when I'm doing my Tamiya bikes, for all the screws and detritus. Saved me many and many a heartache of them. So we'll just drop that stand off, because I don't want to lean on it and break it, because the tissues will be out. And then I'll just start the screw off. And normally what I do on these screws, and here's a top tip from Festa, is before these parts actually go on, at the early stages when I have just finished the paint job and it's dried, I go back round with the screws and I screw them back into the frame. It's almost like you're recutting the threads, because obviously paint gets on them, and at this stage it saves you a lot of heartache if you do put too much pressure on and you slip. So remember that one, folks. Once you've painted your parts, if there's a screw to go in it, just get the appropriate screw and sit and redo the screw holes. Far easier to do it when you haven't got a finished panel in place than it is when you have. Right, so let's just pop that off a sec, because I've just forgotten one thing, and that is the wraparound for the tank pad, which on this one is the big long one. There, you've got some options here. The Tamiya bike has the clear little panels on, and the Alex Rins one and Sylvan Guintoli test bike normally have the tank wrap on the back end there. So I'm just going to peel this off and apply it to the tank. So I'll just do that under my magnifier of bigness, purely and simply because I want to get it in the right place if I can, because it's a one-shot deal, this. But what I'm doing is I'm using the shape of the tank to determine where this starts and finishes, and it wraps around the indentation around the tank, and you'll see that when I bring it back into shot. But apologies for taking it off a shot, it's just I want to see how it goes, and you'll see the tank pad if I don't drop it. Once we start screwing the tank in, see, you're using the tank shape, and it's just literally behind where this screw's going to go. Wrap it round along the bottom edge, straight round the other side, and it will just bink straight to the tank. I was going to do it once the bike was assembled, but I think I chose the easiest option there. Bung it on the tank before you put the tank on, folks. There you go. Much better. I knew something was missing, but I couldn't think what it was. Yeah, I don't get out much. So we'll just sit the screws home. Just want to glue that pipe in. I keep forgetting it, folks. There it is. See it? This little one here. All it does is it's supposed to be held in place by the tank, but as you can tell, it slides forward, so it's going to have a dab of Gorilla Super Glue slapped under there, and it's not going to be seen. So yeah, but hopefully then, see, when I pull it with me tweezers, it will stay in place then, because yeah, it just keeps popping forward. So me being a bit fussy, I kind of just want to hold that in place whilst it just starts to set, and then once the tank goes down and presses it, it'll press it into the super glue. I just got me flat blade there that I can hold it with, because I can be a bit more thing with that, and it's just holding it there until it bites, folks, like that, because it's just frustrating that it keeps popping out, and there you go. See, the tank will just sit over that and press down and it'll stop it from popping forward. Right, I'll put a screw down somewhere. There it is. Just secure that to the screwdriver, like so. And then finally we can pop that in, like so. And this is where doing the threads earlier helps, because the screw just goes straight in. Look at that. Whoa. Oh, I want to take her out to lunch. Absolutely gorgeous. Still the most beautiful bike on the grid. Closely followed, I must say, by the Aprilia. Now, I'm really hoping it wins the World Championship, purely and simply because the Tamiya will build a bike of it, and it's one to keep an eye out. If you don't watch the MotoGP, have a look at this before the end of the 22 season, because Suzuki leave at the end of the year. But also have a quick look at the Aprilia and tell me that that flat black paint scheme don't make it look like a stealth bike. It absolutely is beautiful. But yeah, so I'll just quickly button these down now under my lens of seeingness. There you go. Can I make brum brum noises yet? Or would you rather me wait until the fairings are on? Right, let's have a little tidy up here. The camera's on the back end there, as you can see from earlier on. That's sitting there quite nicely. But you just sit there and you look at all the modern features on these bikes, and it's just amazing. And we're beginning to see this on road bikes now, where some of the things that have been going on in the prototype racing has now worked its way onto road going machinery. So yeah, it's really quite surprising. Right, we can put the clutch cover on. So that just sits on its locators just on the side there. Get that into place. Right. Look at that. Oh. Let's just drop that on the stand. There's a couple of little lugs that stick out of the side of the swing arm there, and all they do is they just rest into the little cups on the top of the paddock stand, like so. It just sits there quite happily then. Alright, so we'll just move that, and then we'll look probably at getting the fairings and that on in a moment, I think. Start the ball rolling with that. It's coming on really well. Yeah, definitely got to make brum brum noises. We're not far off, folks. We're not far off. Yeah, look at this lot. Whoa, innit? Hey, just move that back one out the way because that's now empty. But yeah, look at this lot. Whoa. I've been looking forward to showing you folks this. I really have. Yeah, we're coming up to that stage now where the bike starts getting its character. Yeah, the fairings and that are going to be going on. I'm going to do it. So, the bike is now ready for that stage. So I'm just going to gather all my bits and bobs together, and then we'll start laying these out. So we got the front fairing, and then we'll have the two sides, and then we'll have the belly pan to go on. Yeah, and it just is beginning to feel real now. So we'll just line these all up so you can see what we're up to. Like that, all that lot. There's the destructions there, showing me roughly what order they got to go in. So I'll have them to my left now, and then we can start lining things up. Now this is one of them stages where, if you remember rightly, the decals went on at the beginning before the engine and all of that lot went in. So I fully expect a little bit of trimmage to occur where these these two silver side guards on the radiator on the frame, there don't seem to be a lot of clearance between them and the leading edge of the fairing there. So I'm going to fit them but not tighten them up, just to see whether I need to trim any excess off of the edges of them. See where the letter U joins where my left thumb is. Them two plates on the side of the frame, they just seem to me not to have a great deal of clearance. So I might have to adjust that, persuade them to fit slightly better. We'll see how everything lines up. But don't be too surprised if I suddenly pop the fairings back off and then they go back on again. I've just got that feeling that it's a bit tighter than I remember when I put the decals on. So we'll just move them. See, it's just a little resistance there. So now that fairing panel gap looks okay, I can tighten the tank down to its full size. The belly pan's now on. I did adjust the clearances, by the way, folks. As you can see, there's just a slightly bigger gap where I popped the covers off and run a scribe down them. Just trimmed a little bit off to make them fit, for me, a little bit better. Just click the belly pan in place. It locates on a couple of lugs on the radiator, and then there's a tiny little screw hole back here. I've just got a bit of white tack sticking on there. Don't want that on there, do you, Cole? Nah, there you go. And then you just pop that over like so, and it will click into place each side of the radiator. And then you can put the final screw in the side cover then. Just rest it on my thumb so that I don't stab the paintwork. I'd rather stab my thumb than the paint. And then take your time doing the screws. Got plenty of time. It's no competition. Take as long as you need. And there you go. Just gently tease that screw into place now. I've got my thumb just pressing up on the belly pan just so that it lines the join up with the decals and gives me a nice decent panel gap. And then just deftly put the screw in. All of a sudden she'll go in. I think that might be too long actually. Let's just double check. Might be that I've picked up the wrong screw there. You never know, folks. I just want that just to bed a bit better on that locating hole. So let's have a quick inspection just to see whether or not there's something fouling inside. Might just be a bit of rogue white tack that it's picked up, but it just seemed to be catching on there. So yeah, just a bit of a build up on the paint there, folks. So we'll go for round 2 and try that now, just to see where that creeps in. It was almost like it was bottoming out, but there it looks like it was just a little build up of the black paint on the inside. It just dripped back into the hole there, so it's going in now, so I'm happier. There you go. Look at that. Oh, isn't it pink? There you go. Look at that. Oh, it's a thing of beauty, isn't it? It really is. Swing. So let's have a look and drop the fairing on, shall we? Don't forget, if you want to grab one of these for yourselves, folks, links in the description. Pop over to eModels.co.uk. massive, massive thanks to the guys at Stoke for allowing me to build this for them. It's been a real pleasure. It's been lovely with the feedback as well from all you wonderful people that have watched and got in touch and taken the time to ask questions and that. And it's been a breeze. It really has. It is a work of art, that machine. The guys at Tamiya have done an awesome job. I don't think any of you that build this will be disappointed. You really won't. It is a absolute work of art. It really is. It's a fun build. And yeah, I think the guys will be pleased to have that in their cabinet. Look at that. So we're going to wrap up and let you see the final reveal. And then I'll be doing the next build soon. If you've got any ideas for future builds, leave a comment below the video and I will look at adding it to the list. But in the meantime, we're going to wrap up, let you see this in all its glory, folks. Thank you for joining me. Cue the brum brum noises. Brum 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 brum. Yeah, stop the recording, Cole. There you go. Look at that. Oh.